1, 2. What's good, man? You ready? I'm ready. You ready? All right. For all you late people, man. You know what I'm saying? It's not like I scheduled, but all right. So let's talk something about fitness, right? First, fitness. Fitness. Well, you gotta warm up, right? But get your hammer, man. Come on, man. You gotta get your hammer. Get your hammer. Be fit. First, get your hammer. All right. And gotta warm up. You know what I mean? This is about 14 inches. This, yes, 16 inches, right? But get your hammer, right? Get your hammer and start warming up. See that? 2. You see how it? You see how it warm up the arm, right? Right. Get your hammer. Warm up the arm, right? You can even, put in. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Full body movement, right? Once you get that, what you want to do next is you want to warm up the back end, right? Get some backhand swing, right? Warm up the back area, right? Because when you start swinging, it requires the back end, right? You don't want to pull that, so you want to warm it up good, right? Yep. Warm it up good, man. There you go. See that? Warm it up good. Same thing. Warm it up good. Because you don't want to get injured, right? Once you get that warm up, right? That backhand swing warm up, right? All right. That backhand warm up, right? Warm it up, right? Once you get that warmed up, the next thing you want to do, right? You want to high warm up, right? Bring it up. Bring up the hammer. Warm it up high, right? So it's like a tricep extension, but you warm it up with the hammer, right? So warming up is very important, man. You want to get that right, right? Want to get that warm up, right? Yeah, warm up on this hand. You see that? Right? You want to get that good. You want to warm up. What's up, Riz? You warm up good, right? So once you started warming up, right? Now you want to warm up with the high end. Get your hammer and warm up on the high end. What's up, Jay? So you want to warm up the high end now. See that? Now you start warming up the high end. You see how it starts to warm up? Because you don't want to pull anything, man. So you want to warm up good. What's up, Ja 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 Ja? So what's up, man? So you want to warm up good. See that? Now you warm up the high end, right? You want to warm up the high end? Thank you, man. I'm not jacked, but I'm ripped, bro. You know what I'm saying? So you warm up. so again, you want to warm up good because the hammer, the weight distribution, again, this is about 16 inches, right? Or 14 and a half, right? The weight is at the end, which is about 5.5 pounds, right? Or 2.45 kilos, right? On the end, right? So you want to warm up good. So once you warm up good, now you want to warm up the wrist. Put the weight and of the aspect, like so, right? So now you're warming up the wrist part, okay? So now you're doing all day, bro, every day. What's up, Jay? You do this all day, man. Come on. Go. So now you want to do this right here? You see that? Warm up the wrist, right? Once you warm up the wrist, see that? Warm it up. Because it matters, man. Because I'm gonna show you guys how to put that up. See that? You see that that right there? Yeah, I'm gonna show you guys how to build this, man. I built that myself, bro. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna show you guys how to do that. But you gotta warm up your wrists. You gotta warm up everything, right? Yep. It matters, man, because if you're an MMA fighter, if you're a martial artist, right? Having it matters. Why? Because the mobility, it matters, right? So now, warm up this way now, right? The opposite end. Warm it up good. So this is about 3.1 kilos, right? About 6.7 pounds, right? So it's pretty heavy. So now you want to do that, okay? Same way, right? Put this way. Put this way over here. There you go. Warm it up. Good. All right. So now, martial art. So I practice the art of rhythm, of no rhythm, right? apply with music. So that way, um, it's a combination of Musashi and Bruce Lee in a way, mixing with music, the flow of the rhythm of non-rhythmic, I guess, predictable feature, right? You don't want your enemy to predict your movement. So by being off rhythm, it allows you to be unpredictable when you move, right? And you can incorporate that with music, right? But yeah, I do practice MMA too, right? Boxing, I studied boxing here and there, mainly a lot of Mike Tyson and and Canelo, right? So I studied the move, and I pretty much I read a lot about Mayweather, the way he dodges in the way of when he sees his opponent, right? He throws them off rhythm in order for him to counter. And I look at Mike Tyson on his approach to the dug, right? On keeping the eye of the dug, right? And at the same time, Canelo with his ambition, right? His persistent, right? So yeah, I do watch that, and of course, the eagle, right? I gotta make sure the eagle, the Russian, you know what I'm saying? I got his endurance, right? The Russian, got the endurance, and that's the reason why the eagle is legit, right? So yeah, I do study, others as well, right? Incorporate it to my own as well, right? Hey, what's up? What's up, Sonia? So at the same time, right, is that practicing is very important, but at the same time, you want to make sure you warm up good, right? All right, so now let's talk about diet, okay? So I came out today to talk to you guys about the diet, right? Because it's important that you have your proper dieting, right? For example, like after your workout, like what is it that you do? What is it that you eat? A lot of people, they just go straight to cram that protein shake, right? But here's the thing though, right? Is that if, for example, I'm 146 pounds, right? But at the same time, right? My flexibility and everything, right? But the dieting part is the most important part as well, but it's not the main thing. But it does matter. You know why? One is, think about this though. Let me break this down scientifically, right? Is that when you start to burn your muscle tissues, when you start to burn your calories, right? What does that mean? Well, it means that, for example, if you're overweight, right? If you're overweight, your body is already used to burning protein, right? Yes. Your body is used to burn protein instead of the fat. Does that make sense? So because of that, the fat is hard to burn off. So that's why when I trained back in the days, that I make sure that the people that follow my advice build the muscle tissue first, right? Because when you build the muscle tissue first, guess what happened? It starts to burn the fat from the inside, right? But at the same time though, is that you will incorporate more of a higher protein diet for the people who are more overweight. But for the people who are like from my size, why? How much protein do you think this body can take at one time, right? Putting 2 scoops of 30 grams of protein total, my body won't absorb all of that, right? So I would say about 16% about 16% will go to waste, right? So in actuality, I should be taking about like 15 grams of protein after my workout for my body to utilize that protein absorption, right? Because if it's too much, guess what happens? It goes straight to the restroom, right? Right? So, and that's the reason why, guys, like, sometimes, even though you want to take 1 gram per protein per body weight, right? It's not necessarily true. It's not necessarily true for those who really want to, get the full aspect of the price that you pay for, right? So instead of taking that 30 grams of protein, of which half of it would go to a restroom, take 15 grams of protein, man, and take it, in the next 2 hours or so, right? 15 here, 2 hours later, another 15. Bro, you good right there, man, right? But if you take all that one time, it just go to a restroom, bro. You're wasting your money, right? So that's the real tip, right? So once you get that protein in, right, you want to wait about 30 minutes, right? Once you take that protein shake, you want to wait about that 30 minutes. Now, what I do though is that I take that 15 grams of protein, right? Whether if it's organic or not organic, right? It doesn't matter, right? If it's organic or organic, it doesn't matter. But what you want to do is you want to incorporate the blender, right? Put some berries, man. Blueberries, bananas, apples, right? A little bit, man. A handful. Put in there, blend it all up, and guess what I do, man? I put Coke or Pepsi, bro. You know what I'm saying? I got sweet tooth, you know what I mean? So, so I put like a little bit of Coke, a little Pepsi in there, just blend it all to get that sugary, right? No, here's the reason why. Here's the reason why. So the reason why like sodas and beverages are bad for your body is because of carbonation, right? Because of the carbonation. The carbonation is what really gives the body that the blip, right? But what bodybuilders do is that bodybuilders, they would actually take the like I say a can of Coke or Pepsi, they would open it, right, and leave it overnight. When they leave overnight, the carbonation will actually oxidize out, right? And because of that, it leaves all the sugar, right? All the sugar water on the top, and the heavy stuff, the caffeine and everything sink to the bottom. And during their after their competition, they would drink that just the water aspect, in which it hydrate the blood sugar. That's the secret, guys. I used to compete as well. But at the same time, is that you see how it works? But the bottom part, you don't want to drink that. That's all the bad stuff, right? But you see how when you mix a little bit of the Pepsi Coke just to get a sweet, because your body is already low in sugar, right? Because if you're low in sugar, you want to get that little taste of that sugar from that sweetening, right? From the Coke or Pepsi. You blend in with that, the berries, the bananas, the boom. That's your meal. That's your meal, right? But at the same time, you won't run to the restroom. Why here? Because you have the carbohydrate already, right? You get the carbohydrate from the bananas, from all the mixing and stuff like that, right? Slightly, not a lot though, right? Why? That's because every little thing has, let's say, every fruit, every berries, everything has some sort of, within the protein itself, the carbohydrate already is in there, right? So that means you don't need to add more. You don't need to add more. You don't need to eat more because it's already included within the protein shake, the carbohydrate and everything, right? It's not a lot, but it's enough to give you that after that workout, right? That's what's important, guys. It's not overdoing it. It's not overeating it. It's not over proteinized. It's not over. Well, I just made that up. Proteinized. That's not a word, but it's not overdoing into your system because it's just gonna go straight to the restroom. You don't need that, right? What's up? Can you give advice on how to use 20 pound? Yeah, for example. Let's see here. So this is right here the 25, right? So this is a 25 pound, right? But the thing is, wait, how to use or you want to lose 20 pounds? Oh okay, right. So if you want to lose 20 pounds in that 2 months, right? It depends on how your body is, what level your body is at, right? If you're at my physique wise, gaining 20 pounds is like, good luck. It's not gonna happen, right? Unless you steroid, right? But correct, because your body can only gain so much at a certain time frame, right? However, if you're, let's say, if you're overweight, that 20 pounds in 2 months without that, I don't want to blow your expectation, but at the same time, it's, I mean, are you committed? You know what I'm saying? that 20 pounds in 2 months, bro. That's a whole different ball game. I'll say 20 pounds in 4 months, 5 months is doable, man. But it's where you're at, though, right? Here's what you want to do, though. Superset. You want to superset everything in a set of 100, right? For example, let me show you. For example, right? You want to superset shrugs, right? For example, 25, right? Like so, right? And you want to do 25 of that, 25 of the lateral raises, right? And then you want to go straight to 25 of the stiff leg deadlift, right? And then you want to go to 25 of the row after that. You see that? 25 superset, 3 set, right? That's 100 equal to 300 repetition. Again, 25 shrugs, right? See that? This is how you do it though. 25 shrugs, 25 lateral raise, right? And then 25 stiff leg, and then 25 row. You see how it complements each other, right? You see how it complements, right? And that matters. Look, I'm not saying it's not impossible, right? It's not. I'm saying it takes a lot of work, and not many people have that endurance to lose that 20 pounds within 2 months. It's possible though. right? But I'm not gonna say, I'm not gonna tell you you're gonna do it, but you will though if you are committed to it. Yeah, of course it's possible, but I will give myself more room. Like I will give myself more room to wiggle. Why? Because when you rush, sometimes you risk injury. You don't want that, right? You want to have fun doing it. So I give myself more room. I give myself more room to breathe, right? So that way, when you have that room to breathe, you're able to adjust. You're able to see like, hey man, I'm having fun. I'm seeing a result. But when you start rushing for that result, injuries tend to happen a lot. You know, you don't want that, right? Because when you get injured, you can't work out, right? All right, guys. I mean, thank you guys for coming in for today, man. I appreciate it. But I got to head out to TikTok real quick. But I'll be back to you. All right, thank you guys. Have a good day. But remember, you got to stay sexy. All right?